Leadership is about first accepting that you have a responsibility. And because of that acceptance that leadership is a responsibility, not a right, you have to lead yourself first. You can't lead other people or lead things if you're not leading yourself. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be perfect, but it means you have to do everything you can to bring humility into what you do, in the way you look at yourself and the way that you operate, and the way that you also look at dealing with others. And I'm very lucky to have a fantastic partner who, I'll come home and I'll tell her stories about the day where I think I've done something right, and I think, there's been a challenging situation, and she'll say to me, well, actually, no, I don't think that was them, I think that was you. And, and you look at yourself and you go, actually, she's right, it was me. And you have to be ready and open to that type of criticism, to be able to look back at things you've done where at the time you may have thought was right, but as you've reflected on it, and reflection is a very important thing, you actually say, okay, I could have done it better, or it was okay, but actually, or ultimately I was just wrong. And if you are wrong, you need to go through and you need to go back and you need to rectify that, and you need to be willing to apologize. I think people who are being led these days, and we all are led in some way, shape or form. I'm led by others just in the same way as I lead other people. You have to be real. Young people these days, they see through the facade. And you have to be a real person, which means you can't be perfect. You have to be yourself. So ultimately, the fundamental thing that you need to be is yourself. And I believe that if you're yourself and you move to lead and people want to follow, then you'll be a leader and people will follow you. And if not, then you're not meant to be. I think you need to be very good at what you do. You need to be able to know how to tension a team and a business and know how to relax it. And you need to know, if you're going to develop people, how to build autonomy and capacity by letting the team have an element of liberation in what they do. Allow them to have goalposts that they can work within, to allow them to actually develop, be creative, and be the best they can be. And I think, as a leader, it takes trust to be able to do that, because you're constantly battling with putting your own personal reputation in the hands of others. But the conundrum is fantastic. If you don't do that, you're never going to be able to lead anything overly effective, because you'll always be limited by capacity, because you're not ever willing to let go. And so ultimately, humility, looking at yourself as part of that, being able to trust your people in what you do, not being in fear of failure, because ultimately things will go wrong, and it's your ability to deal with those mishaps as opposed to your ability to stop them all happening in the first place, because ultimately you'll never stop everything happening. You can become a better risk manager. You're never going to become an ultimate risk manager. And then finally, you have to be good at what you do. You have to be technically competent so that you actually know and can judge when to reach in and get involved, when to intervene, and when to let things go. And I think one of the mistakes leaders often make is they don't have a good capacity to actually understand which parts of the business that are operating need help and which parts can be actually left to nurture and grow on their own account. So I think there's a lesson in all of that, and that to me is what leadership is about.